Hey everyone, it's Phil here. In this video, we're going to look at a mobile detailing company who has grown over 200% in their first year, then over 80%, then over 50%, and now has been gradually growing year to year. And this company is located in San Diego, California. We're going to start with the clip from Dennis sharing you his numbers, and then we'll go ahead and go through that interview where I break it down for you from some of the most important parts to help you start your own mobile detailing company. Let's go ahead and get started.
Revenue money-wise is a tricky topic to navigate with some business owners. Some want to scream it from the rooftops. Some keep it closer to the chest. And we love it all. We love what you love and what you love to share. Growth-wise, you have seen growth. Yeah. Numbers-wise, however you want to go about sharing it, whether it's X dollar amount or percentages growth over the year, what are you looking at in terms of this year, 2026, versus last year?
Yeah. So I'll even zoom out even more so, and I'll sort of share what it's been like year for year and how, like, I guess it kind of contradicts what I've been talking about in terms of this is how it feels, because some years it's a bit more like this and some are more flat. And I think the percentages are more instructive too, because like the number, I think it matters less than like how much a company is growing from year 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. First year, we grew 200%. Not bad. Could be better, but not bad. From the first year to the second. Following year after that, grew by 82%, then 55%. Then we slowed down a bit, 12%, then 4%. And that's where I had to make like big changes, which I did. That was that was a few months ago, 3 months ago or so. Totally revamped the office staff. And now we're tracking January and February are typically our slowest months every single year. And we've broken sales records starting this year already. So we're expecting a 26% growth this year versus last year on the
And that is why I played the entire clip, because there's a lot of lessons in this clip alone for anybody that's starting. First thing, growth can be slow for some. It could be quick for others. Like for Dennis here, he grew 200% and 80% the following year. That's tremendous growth. Don't always look at someone else. If you guys are growing slower, that's also okay. Then you can see for Dennis, it slowed down a little bit. But then something happened where he started to look into his, systems, into whatever he's doing in the back end, his office, employees, things like that. And now it's picking back up again, whatever year he is in now. And he's looking at 26% for the year. And I think the one before that grew only 4%, which is another thing that is okay. It does not have to be growing every single year, you guys. That's one thing that, isn't always clear. Even the biggest companies have years where they plateau. Yes, on a much larger scale, but that is just business. The most important part is to understand, is the business failing or did it just slow down and did it plateau? Now, what's going to happen or could happen is it could be slow for the next 3 years for Dennis or for anybody, maybe a little bit of growth. And then 1 year is going to come where all of that could change and he could double his business again from wherever, he is. That is the important part that you guys have to actually remember.
The way that I was applying myself to college at the time and the business competitions too, and being around those professors was super valuable. But that experience of seeing the world too, and how other countries deal with business and entrepreneurship within their own sort of ecosystem is different. The way you start a business, the hoops that you have to jump through in Europe, for example, versus how easy it might be to start in the States. We are lucky I can't speak to every country, but we are lucky to a great extent in America to be able to start a business relatively easily compared to, that's another rabbit hole.
I mean, no, you're 100% right. Like somebody could land on this interview on YouTube or wherever, right? And get the idea tomorrow. You know what? I'll start a mobile detailing, or I'll start a dog walking, or some service-based business. They can have it set up the same day within a few hours, and legally too.
Guys, if you guys are watching this from America, you know, the opportunities here definitely make starting a business much easier. And there's, of course, other countries that have the same opportunities, but many of them do not. So if you guys are part of a country that is pro-business and wants you guys to succeed, don't wait, start. You know, the opportunities are going to open up doors where it can change your life through business.
Entrepreneurship has been ingrained in me since just wanting to create something and, try to make it a business since I was like a kid. Since I was like 4, I would be selling Pokemon cards like on the bus on the way to elementary school and middle school, or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I would even have like things where it's like whoever buys the most gets a free card at the end, like I'd be running promotions that I didn't even know I was running. We would hide, my brother and I, we would have a poster in our room. We shared a room, and behind the poster, we'd have like a graph of our sales, like as if it's something that you can hide. I'm sure families would, or our parents would have been proud of us. But yeah, like there's always been like a hustle growing up, not even middle class, just like,
This is an awesome story. If you guys, ever had something like that, you might have already had that spirit in you and you don't even know it. I didn't even know it back when before I started, because I remember I used to take a friend and we would knock on people's doors, try to shovel, snow here in Illinois for money and things like that. Those are already things that, that show you that you are going into entrepreneurship without you even knowing it. So pay attention.
Parents were immigrants from Bulgaria. So, it wasn't easy. They just came with nothing. And I got to live a really good childhood. But I also understood, if you guys look up La Jolla, probably one of the more rich neighborhoods you'll see in the States. It's like Beverly Hills of Los Angeles. So some of my best friends, they're so humble too. I'm lucky, but they, going to their house and then coming back to ours, like, man, I gotta, this is on me. I gotta find a way. So there's always that chip on my shoulder. It's still here today, but not just in business, basketball, everything. Got that chip.
I love stories like this. This is literally what it's all about. Some people look at others, are jealous, hate, and then there's other people here like Dennis who literally looks at that and takes it as inspiration. And that, in my opinion, is the right approach. Okay. This is a fantastic story, you guys.
Back to you with your awesome mobile detail business. When did you get that started? What was the reasoning behind it?
Mm-hmm.
And just let's dive into the beginning.
Yeah. I was two years or so graduated. Right? We were working on a social venture startup. Like it's a business that, it has like a, social good at the forefront, trying to change the world. There's a bed backpack all-in-one for working travelers in India. That's what we did as a school, as a class project that ended up being a business we're trying to start with 3 of us. We won all these competitions and even trying to manufacture it together in San Diego and like finding fabricators and making designs and interviewing like hundreds of people at like REI and stuff like that. But with founders, like one was based in New Zealand and would be flying back and forth. She was more local, but also like going back and forth from India. And I have my corporate job too. And we all just had different priorities, and it's impossible to be super in sync. But when you're young and life's pulling you in all these different directions, I feel like, they're still some of my best friends. Like I just saw the New Zealand buddy last year. We had to have a conversation of like, the progress isn't happening. We're not matching our energy. in terms of how much we're applying ourselves and what the priority is. And I had to make the decision that like, we're not giving up on trying to save the world and, try to make the world a better place, but it's time to at least try to learn more about business, because clearly like we won idea competitions. Like we didn't have a business. So like, let's learn. And so I go back to the drawing board, literally like that night. I'm there in the living room with my little sister, my friend, and my ex at the time. And we have this whiteboard and I write down 20 ideas, like, what are like more traditional business ideas that if I applied myself, I could actually make, some revenue and learn about business, which I am passionate about, and still try to find a way to make good in the world, and then use it as a stepping stone. Entertainment stuff that I like to do, like voice acting and stuff. We'll get into that. We get into that later. Like passions and stuff. How can I have more time for passions and passion projects? Like the first thing I wrote was mobile car detailing, or at the time it was car wash.
A lot of lessons here, you guys. Focus comes as the first natural one. You can't do everything at once. Passions second. I always say, figure out how to make money first, and then that will produce, time for your passions, your hobbies, things like that. But you can't do everything at once. You have to drop everything, focus on one that's going to deliver, that freedom to you guys. And then you focus on what you actually want to do after.
There's a difference, big difference. And I go through like the thought exercise, 1 through 20. And then I'm just like, for 2 weeks, I'm just, thinking. A buddy visits me in Spain. He wants to go to Las Vegas. I'm like, I hate Las Vegas. I love you. Okay, let's go. We have fun there. And we split off, and I'm driving on the way back. We're listening to one of my favorite business podcasts. And there's this guy who just starts talking about this maid service he's running. I'm like, okay, maid service. And he's like, yeah. And, manage it remotely. And nowadays, if you set everything with tech, and just to have someone answer the phone, you're already ahead of like so much of the local competition. You can dominate. And I do this with contractors for my maid service. And you could do it for plumbing. You could do it for locksmith. You could do it for pool cleaning. You could do it for mobile car detailing. And the moment he said that, just like I was driving my little 1999 Ford Ranger, and I just like smack the dashboard as hard as I can. And I go, let's go. Let's go.
Sometimes a little bit of inspiration and getting some information from anywhere can be the starting point, like it was here for Dennis. So that's the story of how he dropped a couple things to focus on one thing that he found that is going to actually put money in his pocket every single month. And mobile detailing is what he decided to start. Fantastic business, by the way. And it could be taken very, very far when you guys structure it properly.
So I had that realization 2019, right? And then 2020, so like I put up a landing page, like get the proof of concept, start filling things up a bit, like process wise and whatnot. 2020 hits, and I'm doing sales at a biotech company that sells testing, and during the pandemic, and I'm like working 14-hour days, and I'm still finding like 1 hour throughout the day, or even 30 minutes to just like try to coordinate bookings and stuff in between, like, okay, gotta keep going. But so 2020 was like our first year, but it had to be on the back burner. Yeah. And then I took my full resources in 2021. Like I could have stayed with the company. I was making a lot for myself, like, corporate income with sales incentive and whatnot. And people thought I was crazy, but I just quit because I wanted to challenge myself.
And I'm assuming no regrets leaving and starting.
It's never like hard yes or hard no. Like the regret, I don't regret leaving. I'll answer it as simple as that. I don't regret moving on, but I have a much better understanding and respect for how hard it is, especially at the beginning. I think that I had a bit of like blind confidence. And the first few years were a real like awakening. It's like you have there's so much more that you don't know that you need to learn ASAP. You know, I thought that success would come bam like that, because at the time I was 26, 27, 20.
Such a valuable story right there for anybody that's looking to start. So with Dennis, he quit very early on. And I always say, you know, whenever I tell anybody that when they're starting a business and they have a job, I always tell them, do not quit right away. Okay. Sure, things could work out, but it is going to be less stressful if you guys keep that job and figure out how to make the business work before you actually quit. It's your safety net. It's something that pays your bills and makes you work stress-free. And you could always figure out how to make both of them work. When you look at my story, I've done college full-time, which I was doing well in, job full-time, which I was still, you know, giving my time to, and I was still growing a business that grew pretty quickly, you know, when I was 19 years old with no experience, not a lot of money, and things along those lines. So if you guys are looking to start, you don't need a lot of money, but think twice before quitting right away. Okay. Juggle both as long as you can. Have, you know, couple months of stable income from that business before you pull the plug, because you do not want to stress extra if you don't have to. Okay. But ultimately it is up to you. I'm just sharing with you guys, you know, based on thousands of people using Booking Koala and from what I've actually seen, what I would recommend.
Hiring side of things, do you have employees or contractors that do the detailing?
They're contractors.
How many do you have working for you right now?
Right now, it's a group of 3 or 4, like 3 more full time. And when I say full time, like they balance with their own schedule, but we account for like 70-80% of their flow. Yeah, and they are contractors in one sense, and you know, so they have their own official setup. But they've grown with us over the years to the point where like I've met them all. I've like had drinks with them. Some of them even invite me over to their daughter's weddings, you know, like.
So 2 things from here. One, he mentions he's got 3 or 4 contractors doing the work. So you can see here, he is not actually doing the work himself. So if you guys want to achieve freedom, this is the route that you guys have to take. You have to let someone else do the work. There's plenty of people that could learn these jobs and do fantastic. And they also may need the work for, you know, bills and whatever. Everybody needs some kind of work to pay bills. So you give the work to somebody else and you figure out how to run the business. And as you can see, only with 3 or 4 people, you can already reach some sort of freedom where you don't have to do everything yourself. And you are now positioned to figure out how to grow the business. And then 2, he says that he treats them like family. If you watch the entire video, he goes deeper on that. But that is so important because I always say, if you guys want to succeed over 10, 20, 30 years, make the business fun, figure out how to be a family in there where you guys, you know, show up to the actual work and you enjoy what you're doing with who you're doing it with. Because if you guys don't, that's going to be a problem. You guys will want to quit, switch for a different, you know, opportunity, different business. And the thing that I've learned in business for a long time, it's rarely the category, the industry that makes you survive this. It's the environment, the culture that you guys build. So build it right.